Hello students, welcome to the BBA 5th semester business law session. So far we have been discussing about the pledge. So what is the meaning of the pledge? What are the elements of the pledge? Pledge is also known as pawn, and what are the parties known as a pawner and the pawnee. And one question I had given you, that in your examination you can get the question for 5 marks. Can a non-owner make a pledge? So this is the question you can have for 5 marks. Can a non-owner? Usually the owner can make a pledge because he will be the owner of the goods. Now the question is, can a non-owner make the valid pledge? And the answer is yes. Under some circumstances, a non-owner can also make a pledge. Under some circumstances. So there are 5 circumstances. So if you write on each of them 2 lines, it is enough for your examination and you can score the marks. See, business law is very much scoring if you have to be very specific. Now when they ask you such question, can a non-owner make a valid pledge? So first thing you have to write is here the pledge. A valid pledge can be made only by the owner. Sometimes a non-owner can also make a valid pledge and it is enforceable in the court of law. So which are those circumstances? We will try to understand one by one here under where a non-owner can make the pledge. The first one is pledge by mercantile agent. So mercantile agent here is the agent who is looking after the business on behalf of his principal. On behalf of his principal, he is looking after the business. So he can make a valid pledge provided he has the authority from the principal. The first thing you should remember, the agent must have the authority from the principal to make the pledge. Secondly, the mercantile agent must be in the possession of the goods. The mercantile agent must be in the possession of the goods. Third, he can make a pledge only for the business purpose. So if he needs here any money for the business, he can pledge the goods and raise the money. So 3 things are very important. A mercantile agent is a person who is looking after the business on behalf of the principal. He is looking after the business of the principal. He is called as a mercantile agent. So 3 things are very essential here. First, the agent must have the authority from the principal to make a pledge. Second, the mercantile agent must be in the possession of the goods. Third, this pledge can be made only for the benefit of the business, or if the money is needed for the business, he can raise the money by making the pledge. So a mercantile agent can make a valid pledge. A mercantile agent can make a valid pledge. This is the first here, where mercantile agent is not a owner, principal is the owner, but he has the authority and the pledge made, because usually the act of an agent is act of the principal. Whatever he will be doing on the directions of the principal. So in the next agency we are going to study this. So mercantile agent here can make a valid pledge. Second, pledge by seller after sale in the possession of goods. So in the sale of the goods, once the goods are sold, here the seller here has sold the goods, but the buyer has not yet taken the goods and the goods are in possession of the seller. Now is seller the owner of the goods? No, he is not the owner, because the sale has already taken place and ownership has already passed from the seller to the buyer. But the seller is in the possession of the goods. In case, in that circumstances, he is in possession of the goods, if he makes any pledge, it is a valid pledge. It is a valid pledge. But later on, when the buyer comes to know that he can file a case against the seller and claim the compensation, that's a different aspect. Now the thing is, the sale has taken place. So ownership has already changed from seller to buyer. but still the goods are in possession of the seller. In that circumstances, if he makes any pledge, that is a valid pledge. But one thing to be remembered, the mainly to the person to whom he is making the pledge, that person, third person, must not be aware of this sale. If he is aware of the sale and he has taken the goods, then that is not a valid pledge. He should not be aware. So what will be the impression of the third person who will be receiving those goods? That the person who is delivering the goods has the right to deliver the goods, or he is the owner of the goods. So he must here see that it is in good faith he acts there. So that is required there. So what is there? Here the sale has taken place, the goods are still in possession of the seller, and seller pledges those goods, it is a valid pledge. So that is why pledge by seller after sale in possession of the goods, he must be in possession of goods. In the same way, pledge by buyer before the sale in possession of the goods. See, the buyer here has mainly purchased here the goods from the seller, but still he has not paid the price, so the sale is not over. But already the buyer is in possession of the goods. He is in the possession of the goods. That is what I told you before sale. Before sale, the buyer has come into the possession of the goods, and if he makes the pledge, here that's a valid pledge. In the same way, to the person whom he is making the pledge, the third person must be acting in a good faith. So he must not be aware of the transaction between the buyer and the seller here. So seller has not yet received the price of the goods. So the sale is not complete, but buyer is in possession of the goods, and if he has made the pledge, it is a valid pledge. So this is a pledge here by buyer before sale, pledge by seller after sale. But the most important thing is possession of the goods. The possession of the goods must be there. Then only that pledge is possible. So these are the three circumstances. The next one is pledge by person in possession of goods under voidable contract. You know voidable contract. Voidable contract is a contract where the contract can be enforced at the option of one party but not the other. At the option of the one party but not the other. Under such voidable contract, if a person is in the possession of the goods, if he makes the pledge, it is valid pledge. Now for example, here under a voidable contract, here A, by applying force, he has taken the goods of B. By applying the force, he has taken the goods of B, and A has pledged them to C. So that is what here. It is a voidable contract. So at the option of B, the contract is enforceable or it can be cancelled. So but A, who is in the possession of the goods, he has come in the possession of the goods under a voidable contract and he has pledged it to C. It is valid pledge. So C must act in good faith here. C must be acting in good faith. He must not be aware how the possession has come to A. He should not be aware of that. So what here C thinks that it is A is the owner of the goods and he has pledged the goods. So he must be acting in good faith. So a person in possession of the goods under a voidable contract here can make a valid pledge. It is possible here. The pledge is possible there. That is what here. No matter later on, if B cancels the contract and he goes to the court of law and claims that goods back, A has to return it and he has to also pay the compensation, and rest is the other thing. But as far as pledge is concerned, he can make a valid pledge. A can make a valid pledge there. So this is examples you can give here. Pledge by person in possession of goods under voidable agreement or voidable contract. Last, pledge by non-owner, the pledge by co-owner. So where the goods are owned by here jointly by different persons. So they are all co-owners. The goods are owned by here jointly by here different persons. For example, A, B, C, D, they are all the owners of the goods. They are all the owners of the goods. Now, here A is in possession of the goods. A is in possession of the goods, but owners are here 4. A is having the possession of the goods. Now, with the consent of the other 3, A can make a valid pledge. With the consent of the other 3. With the consent of the other 3 joint owners, he can make a valid pledge. So, but what is the thing is that he must have the possession of the goods. The possession of the goods are with one person. Now, if you take, can A make a pledge without the consent of others? The answer is no, because he doesn't have, he has a limited interest in the goods. Whatever interest he has, to that extent he can make the pledge, that's a different thing. But can he make a pledge with the whole of the goods? Answer is no. But with the consent of the other joint owners, he can make a valid pledge provided he has the possession of the goods. It is considered as a valid pledge. It is considered as a valid pledge. So in this way, what we find is a non-owner can also make a pledge. A non-owner, here under these 5 circumstances, if he makes a pledge, it is a valid pledge. So this you can get a question for 5 marks in your examination. Here write on each of them here 2 to 3 lines. If possible, you give an examples as I gave you the examples there. This is here the question what we have got about the bailment and the pledge we have completed. Now the 5th important specific contract we are going to study in this module. We are going to take the 3rd module, we are going to take the last specific contract agency. Then 4th will be exclusively sale of goods, 5th one will be those small acts. So in my next class I will start with agency, who is an agent, who is a principal, types of agents, rights and duties of the agent. So these are the things which we have to discuss, and in next class, in another 2 class, I will be completing about agency, then sale of goods. By end of this month, we will see that we will complete this particularly here the syllabus. So this is a pledge by non-owner. Prepare it for 5 marks exam question. So we will continue the agency in the next class.